Happy New Year. At the start of the new year, we've got new projects for the 1964 Mercury Comet. On the table here behind me, I've got all the parts I'm about to install, but with the start of a new year, we're gonna try and do things a little bit differently. Instead of me bringing you like roughly a 20-minute video of everything being installed all at once, I'm gonna try and do some slightly shorter form content and bring you videos more frequently. So what we're gonna do in this first video, this is gonna be the kickoff. We're basically gonna talk through everything here on the table, what I purchased, where I purchased it from, kind of what to consider if you're trying to go down the same road. And then in the next videos, we'll break into more of the actual disassembly, assembly steps. And that way it should be more easy for you guys to follow along. And if you have questions, hopefully it goes over stuff in more detail, but it doesn't bore you with super long videos. This will apply for any early 60s Mercury Comet, Ford Falcon, and even some of the earlier Mustangs. Some of the parts here on the table are actually Mustang parts that we are going to use. We're not trying to break the bank here. There's certainly ways to get even better performance handling by spending a lot more money, but this is a way to kind of take what you have, make it better, and fix some of the worst areas on these cars. So let's talk about each of the parts here, and I'll show you all the part numbers. That way, if you want to do something similar for your Comet, Falcon, or Mustang, you are armed with all the information you need to make that decision. All right, so first things first, some of the things you need to address with these older cars are chassis rigidity. So right in front of me here, and I've had these for a while, I actually got these used. These are from Tin Man Fabrication. These are a pair of their weld-in subframe connectors. So we are going to be installing these weld-in subframe connectors and a couple of braces here that I'm going to show you in a second to really try and stiffen up the suspension. The last thing you want to do is stiffen your suspension, but you've got the chassis that's flexing all over the place and fighting against you. So these are going to tie the front and the rear of the car really together, make things a lot stiffer. And then I'll show you what I bought specifically for the front shock tower area to address another shortcoming on these early Comets and Falcons. All right, these plates right here I got from Open Tracker Racing. Actually, everything on the table here in one way or another came from Open Tracker Racing. These are, again, some weld-in, they call these Trans Am braces. We'll show you in a later video exactly where they go, but what can happen on these cars, you get a lot of flex in that shock tower, and quite frankly, it just wasn't strong enough from the factory, especially if you plan on driving these cars hard. So by welding these in, you get to strengthen everything up. The combination of this and those subframe connectors is really gonna help everything else on the table work properly. From the steering link out, let's talk about what we have here. So we've got a pair of inner tie rod ends. Nothing super crazy interesting about these. They do have grease joints on them, so that's great. So you can totally go back and grease these, but even though mine aren't in terrible condition, it's never a bad idea to go and replace those. What's a little bit more trick is this bump steer kit that I have right here from Bear. Because I have Granada disc brake spindles on the front of this car, as some of you guys may have on your Comet or Falcon, that can affect bump steer because of the placement of where the pickup is for the outer tie rod end. So we've got this bump steer kit right here, which is adjustable. So once we get this thing aligned, we can adjust that to try and minimize bump steer with that kit. This is an excellent time to take a quick break and talk to you about the sponsor for today's video. Now, I've done some videos before with Torch Off-Road, but they went ahead and sent me a copy of some of their newest everyday carry gear, which I'm about to show you here in a second, including the Commuter Version 2 backpack. So here is the full kind of lineup of everyday carry gear by Torch Off-Road. What I'm going to be showing you guys today is the Commuter V2 backpack. Now, what I think is really cool about this is not only does it have all kinds of neat little pouches and straps for you to add on and carry kind of just about whatever you want, but I like that it's really secure. And let me show you what I mean. So the backpack here, to access the backpack, instead of a normal one where there's just one zipper and somebody can dive right in, this one, there's a little bit more security. So you've got two snaps right here, boom. Now you've got a secondary zipper. So in my eyes, this is gonna keep whatever you have inside nice and dry and also safe. Once you unzip it right here, you've got plenty of different pouches. You've got another internal storage compartment right here. You've got mesh, you've got places for notepads, pens, pencils, knives, whatever you want to carry. And it's got a nice little strap in case you want to wear it kind of over your shoulder. Super cool backpack. I know I'm going to use it when I go out and film places. I need to take tools and camera equipment with me. This is what I'm going to bring along to film my next video. We'll be going ahead and replacing both upper and lower ball joints. One of the ball joints on that side is actually like totally worn out, and I can grab the wheel and actually move it in and out, which is not a good thing. It's not safe. So we've got brand new from Open Tracker Racing. They helped me spec out all of this stuff, upper and lower ball joints, plus all of the hardware that you're gonna need, the boots, everything like that. It all comes from them. I work with John at Open Tracker Racing. Really solid guy, and all of this stuff was kind of spec'd out over the course of, I would say, probably 3 weeks. I sent them a lot of pictures of what I had, and then what they like to do is look at what you have and kind of tell you that, okay, you can keep this is in good shape, this is a problem, and they kind of walk you through everything so you're not spending more money than you need to. This car does not have any sort of sway bar on the front, so we are going to be going with a 1-inch sway bar. I think this one came from Scott Drake. Basically comes with the sway bar itself, and then we've got sway bar end links, all this stuff. We're gonna have to modify our lower control arms in order to fit all this stuff. But as far as I can tell, this should work with my Moog lower control arms. Again, I'm not totally trying to break the bank, so some of these parts we are gonna actually rebuild, and that's something really cool that Open Tracker Racing does. You can go and buy completely new upper and lower control arms. However, if you have access to a press, you want to spend a little bit less money and maybe just kind of beef up what you have, they offer you that option as well. I'll give you an example. I've got brand new lower control arm sleeve bushings. So I'm going to press the old ones out, press these in. Super cool that they sell these. And we also have, for the strut rods, I'm going to reuse the strut rod that's in there. No real reason to replace that, but brand new bushings and washers for the strut rods. Those will be going in. What else can I show you here? Oh, the big thing. So if you guys know about these cars, you know that a lot of the stock bushings can cause things to bond. So we've got these here in front of us. These are patent pending from Open Tracker Racing. You guys are pretty familiar with these if you're familiar with these cars. This has a sealed bearing in it. So basically this sits on your upper control arm, but it allows your spring and shock assembly to not bind. Also, my upper control arms. I am going to reuse my upper control arms, but I do have brand new cross shafts that I'm gonna swap in. So brand new cross shafts for those things, and then we'll kind of check out the rest of them, see if there's anything else. There is some stiffening plates you can also order from Open Tracker Racing that you can weld in, and we'll just have to see kind of what mine look like when we get to that. So we've got, these are actually, I think, mid-60s Mustang springs. These are the performance springs. They're a 650-pound spring. We may have to modify these because the Mustang springs are actually longer, or I should say the design of the upper shock tower and shock mounts is different in a Mustang versus a Comet. So we may actually have to modify these springs when we get to that step, but don't worry, we'll cover that in video. And finally, we're going with Bilstein shocks for the front. Again, spec'd out by Open Tracker Racing. And I think everything here is going to complement itself and really allow us to take something that's an okay platform and make it a lot better, a lot tighter, and really just gain some confidence in the handling department. We also got this cool template from Open Tracker Racing as well. This is the Shelby drop template. So basically what happens is these holes right here match up to the stock location of your upper control arm cross shafts, but you use this template to drill new holes which basically relocate the upper control arm. It's been called over the years a Shelby drop from Carroll Shelby. This is a modification that was done to the early Mustangs, Comets, and Falcons to really improve handling, and it's just a geometry change. It really shouldn't lower the car, but it does change the front geometry and help this thing steer better. This car does not have any sort of power steering, power brakes, any of that stuff, so any ways we can make it steer a little bit more confidently, we're totally gonna do. I don't know all the specialty tools I'm gonna need yet, but I'm sure I will figure that out as I go. One of the things that I did go ahead and purchase, this is an internal spring compressor. So I got this, I have an external spring compressor, but my understanding is on these cars, it won't work. You can't fit it in there. So I got this, but I saw a cool trick online where the guy was working on a Mustang, but he basically said that the spring compressor was the wrong size, but if you bought a 3/4 inch pipe nipple, this is a 3/4 by 5.5 inch. I think in his video, he called for a 4.5 inch nipple. Basically, you can use this to adjust the compression distance if this is not gonna work for those springs. So worst case, I can take this back or I can cut it down. That's why I got it extra long. But I will need that most likely to remove the old springs and install the new ones. Hey, I hope that was a good overview for you guys on kind of all the parts that you need to buy. Again, within the next week or two, I'm going to be putting out the next video. They're going to be around 10 minutes each time, and we'll just dive into the disassembly and see what we find, and we'll do little bits at a time. And the idea is that you can do this kind of after work. You don't have to do it all at once. I understand everyone has busy schedules. So do I. So that way we'll do bite-sized chunks. You guys can follow along. Let me know in the comments if you have questions, and I'll link everything down below. All the parts, everything. If I missed anything, it should all be in the comments. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and that way you know when the next content comes out so you can watch the next video on my comment. Really appreciate you guys. Happy New Year. See you next time on Truck and Roll.